But I got a bad feeling something's about to get ugly. I want Holly to stay here with me, and I want you to stick around town. You know, I'm getting a distinct feeling, Richard, that y'all know something I don't know. You want to tell me what's going on?
In the 80s and the early 90s, action movies filled theaters and crowded our VHS shelves. But by the mid-90s, the hype around this genre had almost completely faded, making it harder for the action stars to earn their bread and butter.
Do you believe that?
Yeah, something like that.
Do you believe that, sir?
Of course.
At some point, most of them had that one film that sent their careers in the wrong direction.
He's going nowhere. Where you going? Nowhere.
So let's take a look at the films that caused the stars like Jean-Claude Van Damme, Sylvester Stallone, and of course Steven Seagal.
That's right. Steven Seagal.
To stop shining all of a sudden. And we'll start with Steven Seagal. Do not to hurt his delicate feelings, okay?
Okay.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the muscles from Brussels, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
No, let Steven Seagal be the first.
But he runs like a girl. And he whips his arms around like this.
Okay, Steven, can you allow this champ to go ahead of you?
I think that that's a matter of opinion, that he was a champion anywhere.
Well, I guess you still are going to be the second in the game.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Because now...
Jean-Claude Van Warenburg, also known as Muscles from Brussels, JCVD, and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Damn, the legend walks.
By 1997, had officially switched from the action star to action.
Do I think Jean-Claude's a tough guy in martial arts? No.
He had already left behind the failed Street Fighter, where Jean-Claude was pulling off his trademark high kicks in a semi-conscious state.
This is Street Fighter. Forget you've ever seen him.
But Double Team in 1997, well, that was a genuine disaster from Muscles from Brussels leading the charge. Though calling it a pure Van Damme movie is a bit of a stretch. I mean, Coca-Cola deserves top billing for this. Tons of cans, vending machines that are more indestructible than the plot. Definitely not because it has sponsored the half of the movie's budget. Yeah, Double Team. The movie where Tsui Hark, the legend of Hong Kong action flicks, truly let loose. However, a Western audience and critics didn't understand his fever dreamlike action scenes when they saw how Van Damme rides explosions like a surfboard, dodges bullet behind pool water, and takes cover behind sun loungers, ladies and gentlemen. At this point, the Western audience collectively went...
Wait a minute!
Also, they dragged in Dennis Rodman, because clearly, when you're making an action movie, what you need is a flamboyant NBA star with zero acting experience.
I'm the man.
Just so you know, NBA means he is somehow involved in basketball.
Oops, airball.
He's up! He's in!
And he is not willing to let you forget about it.
It's time to get out the bench. The best defense is a strong offense, right?
Stop it.
Yeah, back those days it was trendy to make movie stars out of basketball players.
It's like a monkey trying to fuck a football now, really. This whole thing, it's just a fucking mess.
In the movie, Dennis Rodman plays a Dennis Rodman pretending to be a completely straight arms dealer.
They're not being straight with you.
Alright, maybe not that straight.
If you want to dance, ask me nicely.
Let's try something else!
That's love, baby.
At the beginning, Double Team looks like your typical action-packed blockbuster, and that vibe holds up until the mark of 3 minutes and 50 seconds. At this mark, we witness a futuristic, multi-tone truck filled with plutonium flying over a train after tripping on a pebble on the road. So, Van Damme, tired from the Secret Service life, retires to a mansion with $1 million view and a gorgeous pool. His main mistake is not knowing the basics of nature. And as we all know, Steven Seagal back those days had a thing for pretending a nature savior.
Your damn cow is in my way.
It's the swamp.
Whatever it is.
This is where we really have a big difference in opinion. Okay? Alright.
I edited it in. In the movie, Steven Seagal didn't kick Van Damme's ass. On the other hand, maybe he did, we never know. Oddly, Van Damme doesn't drop his pants in Double Team, despite all the people around him begging not to hide his famous butt.
How long do you think you can sit on your ass?
So naturally, his retirement doesn't last long, otherwise we'd have a very different movie.
A bit rounder and a bit softer.
This guy manipulates Queen into rejoining the Secret Service to take down the evil Stavros.
So you know I'm retired.
Come on, you missed the game. Come on, Jack. Do it! Face it, Jack. Just do it! Come on.
Queen didn't leave behind any reports on his work tracking this criminal, so no one in the entire agency doesn't know crucial information about him.
He's like a snake. If you look into his eyes, he'll get you in the back.
Well, now everybody knows the needed info, so I think that Queen's service isn't required anymore, especially since JCVD only messes things up, starting from this bold claim.
That's the Stavros. It's the lefty. Stavros is lefty.
So Queen is basically useless. He doesn't even have an ability to shoot at the criminal when the time comes.
If a police officer is not prepared as a last result to use his weapon, he shouldn't be a police officer.
So during the chaotic attempt to stab the villain, a random tiger shows up and kills Stavros' son. So Mickey Rourke blames Van Damme for this, for reasons that are none of our business.
My little boy was 6 years old, mister. Now that makes it personal, mister. But why?
The government is pissed at the JCVD as well for screwing up the mission they sent him to a resort for retired secret servants, for reasons that are none of our business.
You went soft.
Maybe that's because they filmed the whole prison segment in a JCVD timeshare in Spain to cover his monthly fee in $1,000. Otherwise, this whole training montage, no one asked to see how Van Damme makes love with the bathtub. Alright, now, are you ready to leave this whole nonsense behind and get back to the movie? That's the spirit. So, when Van Damme got bored in prison, he just jumped in the sea and hitchhiked to the nearest motorboat. Sure, some nosy bystander tries to stop him, but this guy clearly isn't the brightest one. Bruh, why are you choking him underwater? After his magical escape, Queen magically reunites with Yaz. First they play around like kittens, and then Van Damme straight up asks to borrow a couple of guns purely on a promise.
You bring cash?
I'll pay you later.
Surely a seasoned arms dealer like Yaz wouldn't go for such a stupid deal.
I look at you, I see nothing but trouble.
He wouldn't agree, right?
What the hell? I kinda like trouble.
That's good, because trouble is the only thing you can count on teaming up with the Queen.
Those bank accounts are fronts. Empty.
Quinn, keep your money.
What money, bruh? Queen literally just said he is broke as a church mouse. Yaz agrees to help Queen for free for reasons that are none of our business. As expected, the free help, as most of freebies, turns out to be garbage. Yaz didn't even bring a parachutes with him. All he has to jump off a plane is a piece of fabric.
Did you test it?
I don't need to test it, I'll build it!
So, all of this crap definitely didn't make sense to Western audience. Even Sammo Hung, who choreographed a few fights in the movie, couldn't help. It bombed at the box office, pulling just 19 million in the United States. Outside of the United States, though, it managed to collect another $44 million, but with the budget over $30 million, it didn't help much. With such results, they didn't cover even the production costs, and had to make up for it with VHS sales. I didn't catch Double Team back in 90s, but honestly, I think I would have liked this crazy action. Hell, even now you can pretty much enjoy the movie. Double Team is like a fast food burger. You know it is not good for you, but with enough Coca-Cola, it is hard to resist.
Trespassing on government property. Please turn around and leave the area immediately.
My name is Steven Seagal.
You're not on the access list.
That's right, Steven Seagal.
By 1998, he has drifted so far from his action hero roots that he was barely recognizable as the same guy who once dominated the screen in Under Siege. His career had gradually descended into the straight-to-video abyss, and The Patriot was supposed to be his big comeback. After its release in 1998, the movie made many people wonder,
holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
Steven Seagal was a top-notch doctor with immunity to the deadliest imaginary diseases.
You listen here, Wes. You're the best damn immunologist we have in this country.
And I said, you will find a projectile in him. You'll find a bullet in him. And they said, you're amazing. And I said, why? And they said, there was a bullet in him.
Obviously, he is the best doctor in a fashionable but practical lab coat.
Hey, clear as a bell, girl.
The Patriot is set in a small town in Montana, where Dr. Wesley McLaren, also known as Mr. Seagal,
I am not a terrorist, I'm a doctor.
has to save the day when a deadly virus starts turning people into coughing zombies. All thanks to some evil militia members, Nazi of course.
Thanks to you, Floyd.
I told you this was gonna happen. I can't hear you!
Steven Seagal, an ordinary country doctor, it turned out to be an ex-military scientist with mental issues as big as someone's belly.
If there's any guys in here, no flirting, no dating until you're 40. All right?
As always, here Steven Seagal is being himself, as well as this girl, Steven's daughter, playing Steven's daughter. And I don't expect usual high-octane action. Gone are the days of Seagal breaking bones and taking names. In Patriot, the action is as lethargic as Steven's lines delivery. For example, here they are in a hurry. They need to urgently run away from the military, who definitely know where Sensei lives. The film was shot on Seagal's actual ranch, and the big mob boss knows the guy as well as everybody else in the town.
Sometimes I forget Steven's a big movie star. I consider him one of us, part of the team. He is a movie star, and that's pretty cool.
So you might think the action hero would hurry up to pack his shit and get the hell out of here with his daughter, right?
Yes, sir. That is one...
Wrong. He hasn't checked his email or doom scrolled through his Instagram feed yet.
Do you know how to hurry?
You bet.
Nobody in this movie knows how to hurry. The fighting scenes are minimal and underwhelming, with more focus on Seagal being a dick.
Do you know how to spell Mississippi without using any I's?
No.
M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I.
Hey, Frank, haven't you got anything better to do?
Yes, Wesley?
Yeah, what the hell is this hillbilly doing entertaining my daughter? It is as if the movie couldn't decide if it wants to be an action flick or a medical drama, so it settled being neither of them. The film was shot in Montana, a beautiful place with beautiful views, but in final result we get endless shots of Seagal wandering around looking completely lost, with the virus being nothing than a plot device that gives Seagal an excuse to mumble his way throughout medical terms.
What a world of shit.
What do you mean?
Plastic beakers.
I don't understand.
The problem with lipid envelope is that you can't dissolve that protein coat. And so we're thinking that if we can heat it up enough, that we can dissolve it.
While he's being busy making a cure out of random plants.
What are these?
Wildflowers.
Wildflower, where'd you get these?
Picked them last night in the hill.
Oh, yeah?
These flowers will stop the virus and are being dropped to everyone in the quarantine area. Arriving shortly.
So whether it is a bizarre mix of genres, the lackluster action, or Seagal's complete disinterest in anything resembling emotions, it looks horrible. Just look at him. The Patriot is a prime example of why not all the wannabe action movie stars can or should play a doctor. So if you are looking for a movie that makes you question every choice it made, this one is definitely for you. The Patriot skipped theaters and went directly to video, just like every following movie with him in a lead role.
Listen, I got nothing against plain army. I don't mind that at all. I think the ideologist on these folks is good.
While Steven Seagal was out saving forests, and Van Damme couldn't recognize a cow from a swan, but was eagerly teaching wild beasts some manners, another legend from 80s and 90s, Sylvester Stallone, decided it was time to become the ultimate lawman.
That's right.
Even much more ultimate.
You betray the law!
I am the Lord.
he put on a costume of the toughest comic book cop, Judge Joseph Dredd, with the ultimate superpower, never ever taking his helmet off. Of course, they ditched the comic book rule within the first 15 minutes. Because why spend big bucks on a Hollywood star if no one is going to see him under this helmet?
Did wearing that helmet all those years compress your brain?
Sylvester Stallone wanted to flex his comedy skills and went for a light, funny rom-com. The director and screenwriters were aiming for a dark and serious story.
This movie takes itself seriously and takes you somewhere.
Years later, the director Danny Cannon claimed that the final product had very little in common with his work. And all the key scenes were shot without his presence, which was, and pretty much probably still is, Stallone's trademark, to hire no-name directors to direct movie himself. So, if breaking the main canon set the right tone for comic fans, Rob Schneider showing up as comic relief set the mood for people with some taste.
This guy, it's funny.
Fergie is the kind of person that Dredd deals with without even noticing he's there.
Originally, they wanted to take Joe Pesci for the role of Fergie, but he sensed something off.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
And they decided to choose Casino by Martin Scorsese, one of the best movies, if not the. What we have is the movie loaded with endless babble from random council members, and all this magnificence is spiced up with Stallone's stone-faced emotionless acting.
Emotions. There ought to be a law against them.
The action starts in a megacity, an overcrowded metropolis where law enforcement merged with the judges and executioners and now take care of everything from parking tickets to serving the last meal before execution.
Life.
Judge Joseph Dredd enjoys the power given him by megacity's government very much. All day long he can walk around and threaten trash cans.
We have 5 seconds to surrender. 5.
Please let your friend go.
And all is really well until Dredd's brother, Rico,
His name is Rico, and he's my brother.
a twin brother, shows up out of the blue.
Rip his head off instead.
Bad guy is terrible because the bad guy is extremely realistic. Extremely realistic.
At first they offered this role for Christopher Walken.
No. What? I said no. I don't want to.
So, everyone knows that the Judge Dredd never ever, no matter what, under any circumstances, removes his helmet and reveals his face, right?
No. No, I don't think that's right.
So setting him up is going to be a piece of cake. All you need is to put on cop's helmet and shoot some random people. And you might say, but Alex, everyone will think on Steven Seagal. Killing innocent people is his trademark thing.
No, that is not true.
That is true. You could impersonate anyone by putting on this helmet. But there is one but. To make Council and us believe that he was Dredd, Rika put on a badge with a name tag.
The video you have just seen is prima facie evidence that the defendant is guilty as charged.
It's impossible! I never broke the law!
Not anymore. No more this glorious spandex, even though some of those outfits were designed by none other than Versace himself.
This was partially designed by Johnny Versace, so...
No, now Stallone will be running in a potato sack. Rob Schneider will run in a potato sack as well, but plus he's going to collect all the possible injuries.
You don't want to fun to be with Dredd! Fun to be with Dredd, you know? Fun to be with Dredd!
Judge Dredd hit theaters in summer 1995, grossed only $113 million worldwide. In the United States and Canada, studio gathered only $34 million. With these numbers, it became clear to everyone that yes, the era of buff, testosterone-fueled action stars was coming to a smooth end. Stallone, unlike others, got back on track, returned to his roots, and now is treating us to new parts of his old hits, proving that age is just a number.